Hello everyone. Today we will have a very important topic to the international industry, which is PFAS reporting in United States, which will be into force or you have to do your obligations beginning from 2025 and you have to start reporting end of this of next year. This law will affect the international industry. Many companies will, I expect, they will not be able to meet such requirements, and they may not do business anymore in United States, or they may get huge fines. Today, I will explain to you the topic into details. I will explain everything about reporting of PFAS under TSCA rule and what you should do into details. And I will reach you a level that you can do everything in your own, where you don't need any external help. However, we are ready to help whenever you need us. One part of the TSCA rule, TSCA Section 8, about PFAS reporting, that you need to do your due diligence. That's a very important part of the regulation of the new law, that you need to do your due diligence. And for this purpose, we have developed a tool called Comply Risk, which is able to determine which parts of your bill of materials where you have components of high risk of PFAS, in order to do your part of due diligence and to avoid the risk. It is a simple tool but very smart, where you provide us with your bill of materials and we tell you where you may find PFAS, and so you avoid random testing or non-necessary testing, or also we decrease the pressure on your suppliers when you know where you are to ask exactly. It doesn't mean that you don't ask all your suppliers, but when you know where is risk and you have a declaration from a supplier of low trustworthiness, then you need to do further actions like a test. And using such material risk assessment for PFAS will decrease your risk tremendously. We also can do the CDX submission for you. It is easy for us for sure, but if you don't have resources for it, we can do that for you as the end. We are offering a complete solution for PFAS reporting in United States. Yeah, let's start our long journey about this topic. TOXA Section 8A7, reporting and record keeping requirements of perfluoroalkyl and polyfluoroalkyl substances, which are famous as PFAS. Which business are covered by this rule? We have here construction, manufacturing, wholesale trade, retail trades, waste management services, and now we go deadlines. So we have many deadlines. So manufacturers, including importers, you have to report PFAS that you have brought to the American market, to the United States market, for the time period between 2011 until 2022. It is a kind, to understand, it is a kind of a phase that you have to do a reporting for this complete period, not before, not after. We are speaking about this period. Between, we have to do a reporting because the EPA does need this information for this period. Maybe also after we'll be needed later, but we're speaking about what we have to do now. So we have to focus on between January 1st, 2011 and 2022, and we need to do a reporting of what you have brought to the American market of PFAS during such time. This period of time, what you have brought as a articles or as a chemicals or as a mixtures, you have to report that, and your deadline is the 8th of May. So it doesn't mean that you have time after 8th of May to report. No, after 8th of May, that's deadline. Everything should be completed in the system by this date. And you can start reporting 6 months in advance. If you are a small manufacturer, then you have extra 6 months. And you have to keep information about how have you collected information and your records and documents 5 years after the reporting deadline, because maybe the EPA will ask you how did you get such information. Then you have to provide them with an evidence, and you have to keep this evidence 5 years. Um, if you are you under the scope, I think if you this question may come to you, but if you are doing business in US since 1st of January 2011, so for sure you are under the scope. Because if you are bringing articles, you are under the scope. If you are bringing chemicals, you are under the scope. But you don't know if you have PFAS or not. That's here the point. Even if you are a small company, you are under the scope. Like with the reporting of PFAS is scope is a bit bigger, in my opinion. So you are producing PFAS as a chemicals inside US or importing them in articles from outside. And even if you are waste management sites, then also you are under the rule. But for waste management, if sometimes there are some exceptions, if there is no PFAS will not be brought for a commercial purpose. What does manufacture for commercial purpose mean? Because that's a key point. Commercial means you are making or bringing a chemical substance with the goal of making money for a profit, for an advantage. Also, sometimes if you are making a business for free, it is a business. So just if you are not for a private purpose, then you are under the scope. A question which is bobbing up a lot of times: what is the list that you have to consider? Just go to this link and you find the EPA list of PFAS substances. It's a huge list, but the law didn't define a list of substances, but we have a structure, and the safest way is to follow this link from the EPA. What does need to report? So actually it will be different if you are speaking about articles or about mixtures or substances, but you need to provide scientific experiments, research, analysis, and information about how PFAS will be recycled, how it will be exposed to others. I'm going to dig deeper in that. I have for today 400 slides, so I'm sorry for this big number of slides, but I wanted to give you everything you need today. Some few exemptions in this slide you see if you are doing a scientific experiment or research for non-business like in universities, then you are exempted. Or if you are bring regular trash like municipal solid wastes, then you are also here. You are not under the rule, except if you know that you are using PFAS. Is processing of PFAS covered by this rule? No, because here we are speaking about someone who bringing PFAS for first time to the market. So if you are using them or selling them, then you don't need to report. But if you manufacture them in US or import them, then you have to report that. About articles, I know in the past TSCA was more about chemicals, and except for some cases where TSCA started to restrict some substances in articles, but this rule is also relevant for articles. So if you are bringing articles to the American market, then you have to report PFAS in that. And if you don't know, it is your problem. And this is a big problem that we need to work together within the next slides to give you more information. However, if you are an importer of articles, there will be a section in CDX system where you have to report less information. That's a good news. So if you ask me, is it manageable? I will tell you, yes, it is manageable because for articles, I'm going to give more information, but you don't need to provide very detailed information if you are importer of articles. But you need to know if you are using PFAS or not. That's the key. The key. And you need also to care if you take care if you are bringing PFAS as a part of an article or it is should be considered as a substance, because you will be it is like European reach. You have two parts: reach for substances and mixtures, and reach for articles. Here also it is the same, so you have to define very well if what you are importing is considered under the law as an article or as a substance or a mixture. Uh, there are a lot of similarities with EU REACH to define an article or a mixture. So don't worry about that if you are under EU as an article. So here also you are under as an article. For research and development, if you are bringing PFAS for research and development, you have to do a reporting because you are part of a company doing that commercially, but you will have another relieved section, or you need to enter less information. Except if you are just part of a university. Then it is not for a commercial purpose. And also, if you are bringing PFAS under 10 kilograms for research and business, then you have a similar form called the streamlined small quantities R&D form. That's why what I meant for research and development. That's a similar form called streamlined small quantity R&D form. Do we have exemptions? No. Yeah, I know that everyone was waiting for me to say yes, but no, we don't have exemptions. That's different from the chemical data reporting CDR. Here we don't have exemption actually. Like something famous like polymers, they didn't need to report them under CDR, but here you need to do that. What do you need to report? So we need to report for each chemical substance a common or trade name. I'm going to speak about that into details, but just warming you up step by step. Uh, and how it is used and what it is used for, how much of and if it is coming from outside, and byproducts and side effects to environment and health, how many people are exposed, how it is disposed. Let's go deeper. What does environmental or health effects information mean? Um, I think if you have done uh, or if you have registered information about for chemicals in the past, you know this part, and that's more relevant to those who are importing PFAS as a mixture, not as an article. So if you are importing PFAS as an article, stay calm a bit now. Um, so um, that means environmental or health effect information is any information about how a chemical or a mixture chemical affects our health or the environment. And that's coming from former studies and maybe previous testing you have done. That could be a test to check the chemical causes, mutations, and cancer, birth defects, and so on, and how a chemical affects animal, plants, and ecosystem, and how it spreads in air, water, and soil, and so on, and data from monitoring efforts that measure how much of a chemical humans or the environment are exposed to. What are health and safety studies? Health and safety studies are any kind of research or studies that look at how a chemical or a mixture of chemicals affect our health or the environment. Um, I think most of you are aware of that, because we have done that during to register chemicals. So actually, there are a lot of similarities here, but the difference that we are doing that now for PFAS, we need to provide information about PFAS which you have imported to the American market. That's different, either as a mixture or as a substance or as an article. Yeah, I said that time period, it is between January 1st, 2011 and December 31, 2022. And you have to consider this period. It is a kind of a project. That's where you need to do reporting within this time, and that's different from BFAS regulations in Maine, for example, or Minnesota, and so on. You have to consider the difference, and even if you cover this rule, it doesn't mean that you don't have to cover other requirements like in Maine or Minnesota and so on. That's something else you have to consider as well. But advantage is that you can use the information that you get from this task to use them for other requirements as well. But it should raise your concerns, because in case of non-compliance, you will be punished many times. One on a federal level, one time could be a local level. So we must not think about doing anything wrong under such very strict rules. What form should I use to report? We have three forms. We have a standard form as for everyone bring chemicals or mixtures, and we have something called the streamlined article import form if you are bringing an article. and we have streamlined small quantity research and development form. That's if you are using in commercial R&D and below 10 kilograms. Yeah, you can check this tree to decide. Very easy, very simple. But to summarize it, if you have an article, then you have a special form, research and development under 10 kilograms. You have another form, reduced form. Otherwise, you have to do everything. How do I meet the due diligence requirements? That's a very important thing. You have to do your best, but we know, not me, authorities knows that sometimes after you have done your best, you cannot achieve reach perfection, but you have to show that, and you have to show that in a documented way, and that's very important. And those are the documents that you have to keep for 5 years, and to show that you have done your best to get the information, and you reached a stage that you cannot do anything above, then that's your due diligence. And it is an open world as well. That's a risk. So part of your due diligence, know what you should report. You have to understand what is required under this rule, and you build a plan to get this information. And for each piece of information, you have to use all available resources. So it includes data you have, data within your the company, data from your suppliers. You have to show your customers have to show that you have all your best. Um, Speaking about gathering information from employees or agents in your company who are involving in activities related to PFAS, going to your R&D team, understanding if they are aware of PFAS should be used in such components. That's something I told you, that we are offering here a service to comply risk, to determine, do a material risk assessment, and to understand if this component may have material risk or not of PFAS. That's part of it. Explore external resources. Kind of you may check outside your company. That's speaking about safety data sheets. For example, you get a lot of information from them, and customer surveys, and chemical abstracts. I think that could make life easier for those who are importing PFAS as a chemicals or in mixtures, but life here is still hard for importers of articles. But we, I would say still that you show your due diligence and you have a strong material compliance management system to achieve what is required. And stay informed to show that you have, that's part of material compliance management systems that I have already spoken about it in the previous sessions. If you are a follower of my webinars, and that you have a system to inform you about latest news about the topic. Yeah, some examples about due diligence. Have a company called the company A, and they don't have information about PFAS. Uh, Example A. So, how to get information? So, they have one big customer and 10 smaller customers, and they believe they are using PFAS. So, they go to the biggest one and check their website. his website and understand the use of PFAS. However, if they say no, we couldn't, we failed, and then simply authority can find that one of the customers is a big customer providing information quite easily in a website, actually you are now under huge risk. And I wouldn't say risk, you are already under fine, I would say, could be. Example two, there is a company which is importing clothes which are famous, resistant to stains, and that's a feature that they are using PFAS. And you know that you have now that's a part of the material risk assessment. We have a component using PFAS, so we know there is PFAS. If we report we don't have a PFAS and we know that this special feature is only in PFAS, then we have broken the due diligence. So you have to show your due diligence. You show that you have contacted your supplier to get information, and you have to document your communication with your supplier and how have you contacted your supplier. And if so, your supplier didn't reply you have to get a very clear answer. And that's again as a part of the material compliance management system, which I have explained in a previous session. Sometimes that's important part, and it will be repeated many times within all sections. So, but I will skip it later probably. Um, if you have some information which you think they are secret, you have to select this claim CPI claim of confidential information CPI, and then because you don't want this information to be published, and you have to explain that also why you think that there are a list of questions that you have to answer. We will meet them in the slides as well. You need also to avoid reporting the same thing twice. We have always in regulations many laws, and there are many common things between them. The new rule is asking you to avoid double reporting, and then you have to check what you have reported under CDR, under also toxic release inventory, TRI, greenhouse gas reporting program, and some information that you have reported there, you don't need to repeat that again, and that's affecting more mixtures and substances and not articles actually. Under the CDR program, then you have already reported the form or state of PFAS, how it is used. It is used by regular people or a business or kids, how many workers. That's something probably you have reported it under the TRI, total volume, description of disposal, total volume release, total volume release to water, total volume release to air, the volume incinerated on site, and that's something you you have already reported. You don't need to do that again. That's not expected for importers of articles. Under the greenhouse gas reporting program, how much of PFAS is brought into country, sent directly out of country, incinerated on site. How to report? The reporting tool will be CDX system. There will be a special module for that, and 6 months before the deadline you have to start and enter all information, and you have to make an account in CDX and start your reporting. There is a guidelines about that, explaining that, but we are going to explain that next slides. I told you 400 slides, so please wait for me. But I really wanted to help you. I really want to help you, so please wait for me. What happens if the agency discovers a violation? Well, they have some sections about penalties and so on, but really get my advice. If you look to the history of fines for breaking chemical regulation laws and regulations in the United States, always the fine is huge. There are examples of companies which paid thousands of millions of dollars as a fine. So once you get in your mind uh, that you should not care about that, it is hard. You need to invest $100,000, $200,000 about that, and say, "Oh, that's too much money. Let me avoid doing that." And never think about that. Punishments is huge and is enough to take you out of business completely forever. Um, Speak with your managers, speak with your CEOs about how punishments are in US market are huge enough to take you out of the market forever, enough to take you to prison, enough to destroy your business. So it is better from the beginning to invest a few hundred thousands of dollars even to be completely compliant rather than saving them in the beginning and then just ending your business and maybe going to jail as well if you are a manager and you are aware of that. So that's something you never get scared about communicating that to top management. And if you need support, just let me know. I'm happy here to support you. That's here for some companies doing merger and acquisitions and carving out and so on. You have some special rules. I will try not to spend too much time here, those slides, because we still have a lot of slides. But if you have very specific questions, please write me after. But let me, you will get slides and you have also uh, different cases, what to do about them. So you need to report using the current business name or site name and using the current information. That's something should be clear. And then you have a case if two companies co-manufacture on a single site. So actually, they have to, if both of them are responsible, if both of them neglect that, then both of them under responsibility. If one is doing that for both of them, that's fine. If the one company becomes two companies, split it into two companies, then we have to check which one is responsible for the production since 2011 until 2022, and each company will responsible for its part. To companies become one company, that could be much easier because we know that new company will have to do it for both of them. Um, for, that's also for those who are doing merger and acquisition. For your due diligence of the merger and acquisition, you have to consider such information and their availability when you are assessing the price of a company. Otherwise, you got surprised. You don't have this information. You cannot do business anymore in US. So that's a very huge risk you have to consider when you are doing such due diligence. Part of a company joins another, then this part will check what is the proportion of PFAS this part was has placed in the American market. If one company purchases a site from another, actually they should purchase it with information. So they should keep records of information. Even if you close a facility, it doesn't mean that you have escaped from responsibility. You still have to do that. Uh, yeah, in case of mergers, then you have all the information. Yeah, now I think I have a lot of few are importers of articles and waiting for me to tell you how to define articles. I just give a hint. It is easy, a piece of cake. because article definition you get it from what you have done for each, and is very similar to a definition of articles here, and the Tosca definition for articles is clear, also coming from the CDR, so it's not something new, but you should care about the special cases. When the article has a special function and designed to have with and shape to have a special function, so that's what matters. You have to care about border lines between articles and mixtures, because that's something could be a problem. And if you bring a mixture and you report it as an article, so actually that's breaking the law, because you will provide less amount of information. Usually articles will undergo no change in chemical composition. Um, if you are importing fluids, are those fluids are inside an article, so you are bringing them so you can use them after as for their function as a fluid, or they are just working inside an article. So those things will determine you if you are bringing an article or a mixture. And your intention, you are bringing that be your intention to use it as an article, or just a container containing substance, so container looks from outside as an article, so your intention to use it as a substances inside, so that makes it clear. Some examples you have here: transformers, cigarette lighters, automobiles, and those liquids insides are is not separate from the article; they are part of it. So, speaking about an article, um, metals or plastic sheets, wire, coated fabric, they can be considered an article if they are important in a specific shape or design for a particular end use. If you are bring them, you don't care about shape, you will process them further, then you are bringing them as a mixture. Just take care of that. Um, thermoform, thermoformed plastic is also uh, could be also if you are bringing it with a specific shape for a final purpose, then it could be an article. But if you will process it after for making another shape, then that's makes a difference. You have could be different cases. Cannot mention all cases today, but we have to consider that case by case. Yeah, for example, finished pipes, you are bringing them to use them as a pipe at the end. So it is an article. And molded plastic parts. Batteries, same thing. Um, Finished fabrics, thus you brought them with dyes. The intention is not to release substances. So even if the coating can be released, but that was not the intention. So it is an article. We have some cases where here we have to consider that as a mixture. Ink and pens, fire extinguishers, aerosol substances. Those substances also contained in article at import, but the intention is to use the chemical itself, is not the article. So we need the chemical itself inside to be released and to do the function, and that will be considered as a mixture, like also metal ingots, pellets, blooms, like metal raw materials. That's something we are bringing, we will process later for another function, so that's unfortunately a mixture. Then you have to provide complete information. and blocks of plastics or previously disposed articles for reclamation because they are scrap. Structure of reporting form. That's important, very important part. We will have part one. You have to provide the company information, site and contact information, and we have part two, section A, to see for each reportable PFAS. We have to identity and manufacturer properties, and section 2 will be D, E, F, G, and that's byproducts, environmental and health effects, exposure to workers, disposal, and optional information. And here, part 3 is about when you have some confidential claims that you have to fill. Now we speak about the streamlined forms for articles imported and small quantities R&D. You have section A to C reduced and D to G not required. I go back again. So A to C, the first part here, is reduced, and D to G is not required. So you have to go for this one and use my marker. So for articles, you have here, it's reduced, and you don't need, if you are articles, you don't need that. If you are chemical or mixtures, you have to do it, okay? Certifications, that's a kind of something, a feature of the system. Submission must be certified to get compliance with PFAS data, call requirements, and electronically sign it. Include the printed name, title, and email address of the person signing the certification. You have to cancel the submission process or certify. That's two options you have. Now we go part one, which is parent company information. Yeah, if you are tired, that's I recorded it, so you can pause it, have a coffee, and come back. You have to do a lot, or we still have a lot to do. We are in slide 95 out of 400. So you have to provide the U.S. parent company name, enter a full name of the U.S. parent company, and remove various commas and extra space. Replace common acronyms like use and instead of this sign. Corporation instead of corp. Limited liability company instead of LLC. You need the 9 digits of DUNS numbers and of the parent company, and you need to provide numbers belongs to a U.S. parent company and not a subsidiary. Here you have here to have a representative in U.S. So even if for cases where big companies, international companies with a headquarter in anywhere in the world, and you are importing business in or doing business in US, then you have to check that with your importer who should report that. And to support your importer with information, I think most big companies are doing that. And as the end, it is the responsibility of the one who is bringing that to the US market. The parent company address, and next table you can find that's you have to use some complete words like venue completely instead of AVE. You have it. Site information, you need to provide such information about site. I will not say each of them to save some time. You can claim confidentiality of company site and technical contact informations, and you can claim confidentiality for a link between the chemical substance and the company site or technical content. You have to check the appropriate CPI, confidential business information box, and if you forget that, information will be published. Um, but you have to answer substantiation questions related to that. I will show you. Also, for domestically manufactured PFAS, the site where they are physically made, actually, because sometimes it is not the real site. Yeah, site name, it will be populated from CDX registration, can make corrections, site street address, and NAICS code, 60 digits of North American Industry Classification System, and technical contact information. Part 2, Section A, chemical substance identity. That's some. Let's say, see what we have to do here. So here we need to use substance registry services to report the chemical substance identification, and we need chemical abstract index name and the correct case registry number for each reportable PFAS. You also can connect directly to the CRS substance registry service from a reporting tool. If you wish to report PFAS listed on the confidential portion of the TSCA inventory, you can use accession TSCA accession number. The generic name will be automatically incorporated into your form. Claims for confidential treatment of the identity of chemical substances listed on the public section of TSCA inventory will not be valid. But for those who are already listed as confidential, the TSCA inventory can claim confidential identity, but you need to check the CPI box. Note that checking this box only protects the specific identity of the chemical substances listed on the confidential portion of the TSCA inventory. You can also claim confidentiality for physical state of the chemical substance and provide your or prove your physical state CPI claim by answering the questions. Question. There will be a table coming soon to show you which questions you have to answer. If you have reported information under the CDR, you have to share with EPA. Importers of articles are not required to assert CPI claims for chemical identity. You can claim CPI for trade names or other non-public identifiers. Substantiation questions for asserting chemical identity CPI claims. Those questions which you have to answer if you are claiming confidential information. Have 9 questions. Go within them quickly to save some time. So explain how releasing the information claimed as confidential will harm your business, competitive position. It is the precaution your business has taken to protect the confidentiality. Identify if any claimed confidential information is required to be closed under any other federal law, and explain. Says the claim of confidentiality is intended to last less than 10 years. Report any prior confidentiality determination made by EPA, another legal agency or court regarding this information. Explain why the specific chemical identity should remain confidential. If it is public known to US in US commerce, describe whether chemical substance leaves the site of manufacture and measures taken to protect the identity. Explain if the chemical identity can be readily discovered by analyzing the substance when it is available to the public or competitors. Clarify if disclosing the specific chemical name would reveal confidential processes information, and provide an explanation. Now, are you manufacturing of a mixture or chemical substance of known of unknown or variable composition or a polymer? If you are producing a mixture, it is not considered a single chemical substance. So, if you manufacture a mixture, you need to determine if you made um, any individual PFAS components within that mixture. And if so, you must report each of these individual PFAS components, um, provided you have knowledge of or you can reasonably find information about them. If you produce PFAS through a chemical reaction, you might be creating a chemical substance of unknown or variable composition. UVCP is a combination of chemicals where the exact number, identities, and the composition of the chemicals are not precisely known. UVCP substances are subject to reporting under Section 8A7 and are considered a single chemical substance. This part, I think it is boring for those who are importing articles, but is very important for those who are importers of mixtures. So please wait for me. So if you are reporting for mixtures and UVCB substances, if you import a mixture, you should report each of the individual PFAS components present in that mixture. If you domestically manufacture a mixture, you should investigate if any PFAS chemical substances are formed during the manufacturing process due to a chemical reaction. If so, those PFAS should be reported as individual chemical substances. Manufacturers and importers should also consider whether the combination of chemicals they deal with should be recognized as a single UVCP chemical substances under ROSCA rather than a mixture. There are two documents from EPA that you can check as the two guidance documents. How to report when a chemical identity is unknown. Sometimes you might be manufacturing or importing PFAS, but you don't know the exact chemical identity of PFAS. This happens when your supplier will not tell you what the chemical is, or you are not aware of the identity of reaction products or byproducts. So here you have to follow those steps. So use available information uh, that you can reasonably find if you are dealing with PFAS. You can check, for example, safety data sheet or contact your suppliers for more information. Or you pay attention to any generic or trade names provided to you by your supplier, and then you try to look to any testing results or publish the studies to get more information, and also to know a substance is under PFAS definition or not. That could be for new substances. If you remember in the first slides, I provided you with a list of more than 10,000 substances which are considered as PFAS under EPA. However, new substances may be discovered anytime. And here we need to follow the chemical definition of a PFAS to identify if new substances. That's very advanced And my personal experience, that will not come often, but if you think you are working in such direction of developing new substances, then we have to check that. Um, Report chemical ID number if you happen to know chemical identification number like CAS number, TSCA accession number, or Levy number. Report it. Report the CA index name if you know or you can reasonably find it. If not, provide the generic chemical name or a description of PFAS. Uh, if applicable, provide the trade name or common name. I offer also a correct representation of the molecular structures, such as you can certain reporting chemical identification. When you report a chemical substance according to Section 8A7 rule, you must include its correct identification number. This number corresponds to the specific chemical name of the substance. How to report using the CAS registry number, TSCA accession number. If a chemical substance is on the confidential part of the TSCA inventory. Something about the accession information, you can find chemicals accession number if you have the PMN, pre-manufacturer notification case number. For low volume exemption, LVE case number, also you can report that number as identification number. When no numbers are available, then you can report any KRA not known or reasonably ascertainable. Some codes you need to use that's coming from the system, TSCA accession number A or CAS registry C and so on. Nomenclature. Report your chemical substance using the CE index name currently used in TSCA inventory, or use also CAS chemical nomenclature when available for identification. If it is a confidential, the generic name will be included when you select the accession number. If you want to keep specific chemical identity confidential, you must claim it as confidential and provide substantiation. A trade name, you have to report the common or trade name by which the product is sold or commonly known. If you don't know the specific identity of the chemical substance, provide a description of the substance. If you claim the confidentiality of the chemical name, you must provide a generic chemical name. The generic name should be clear and expressing PFAS. Like for example, a name without a fluor will be rejected. Molecular structure and chemical identity, thus you need to provide. If it is listed in class A of TSCA inventory, you don't need to provide a molecular structure attachment. If your chemical has a single defined structure, upload a complete and correct chemical structure diagram. If your chemical is a substance with an unknown or variable composition, provide a representative or partial chemical structure diagram. For polymers, provide a simple structure diagram that illustrates key features of the polymer molecule. Additional information on chemical identity, that's if you can provide extra information. like details about the composition of UVCP chemical, or description of polymer, reporting unknown chemical substance with confidential identities. If you import reporting alternatives for unknowns. If you import PFAS and your supplier refuses to disclose a specific chemical name, there are ways to report this information jointly. That's a joint submission. I will speak about it now and then again at the end of this presentation. So in a very simple way, you send a request from the system to your supplier. Supplier should enter this information, and if he doesn't have the information, he can send a request to a tertiary supplier of you, who can send this information. That's called joint submission. I made a summary of it. Special provision details, that's when a supplier will not disclose the chemical identity. If you know it, you must provide it regardless of supplier confidentiality claims. That's what's important. But in cases where the supplier is unknown or no longer exists, then provide as much information as you can, and you can report in the KRA. That's why I told you you have to show your due diligence, that you have done your best. At the end, you can enter in the KRA. Reporting physical forms of PFAS, what to include: dry powder, or it is pellets, or water, solvent, other solids, vapor. Categories for each of use of each such substances. Something important when you choose in the KRA is that something you cannot claim as a secret. Some things you cannot keep secret, that the general way the chemical is used or processed, the industrial sector using it, the function code of the chemical. For consumer and commercial use, you cannot keep these things secret: the category of the product, the role of the chemical in the product, whether the chemical is used in products for business or for regular consumers, whether the chemical is likely to be found in children's products. The stereo processing and use reports. So we have data elements, which type of process or use operations, called here abbreviation TPU, or industrial sector IS, or function category FSE. You need to report specific information for up to 10 different combinations of data elements. Combination, these three elements creates a possible exposure scenario for assessing risks and setting priorities. Those three again. Again, the reporting tool can handle more than 10 combinations if you choose to provide extra information. Additional reporting requirements. For each of these unique combinations, you must also report the percentage of production volume. Section C, information about worker exposure. That's coming in another section. When you reach those sections in the reporting process, the tool will automatically fill the TPU, IS, and FSC codes, which I have showed you in a previous slide. You are required to provide information about industrial uses of PFAS. Also about sites controlled by individuals or entities to whom you have either directly or indirectly distributed the reportable PFAS. That's for cases when you have distributed PFAS through intermediaries like brokers, distributors, or to our customers. Types of process or use operations. TBU refers to the way a chemical substance is used or processed in an industrial setting. This code and corresponding to TBUs can be found next table. So PC processing as a reactant, PF processing incorporation into formulation mixture, PA, you have codes, I will skip them, you have slides at the end. Understanding the industrial sector codes for reporting PFAS, so you have to find the right code. Sometimes PFAS is used more than one way, so here you need to use a combination of codes, FC and TBUs, and you have to get matching from North American industrial classification. That was under this tank appendix D. I couldn't write all of that because it was many tables, not necessary to present that. You can get it if the industry doesn't fit into listed categories, so you use a code IS48 and give a clear description of how PFAS is used there. You have here some the codes, some tables. Yeah, what's good here, most of you will for if you are importing articles, you will have a reduced form to enter less information. So this information about sites, that's something you don't have to enter as a importer of articles. Understanding industrial function categories codes for reporting PFAS. Here we are speaking about industrial function. Here it is in now in the last slide, just not to get you confused. I go back some few slides. So here it was about industrial sector codes, and here industrial function codes. Just, I don't want you to get lost. I understand that's too much in one session, but here will be other codes, as you can see. Yeah, so don't get scared from the number of slides. They contain a lot of tables that you need to use in your reporting. Consumer and commercial use reporting. I need to report it if it is commercial or consumer use. And when you report PFAS, you will combine different pieces of information like product category, function category, use type, used by children. Choose top 10 again. You need to report how maximum concentration, how much PFAS is there, production, volume percentage, worker exposure. You need to report how PFAS is used in products from sites you control or from those who got PFAS from you, whether directly or through others. That's when you need to check here your customer. Product category. So you need to check up to 10 product categories that match how the chemical is actually used. So I jump to the codes directly. That's the codes of use that you need to enter them within the system. It is beneficial for you to know them now, so you get prepared all information. Functional use for consumer and commercial products. Thus, you need to do that to report the codes that represent function categories of the chemical substance for each consumer or commercial product category. The use in products intended for use by children. You need to do the same. You have the codes again. Maximum concentration code. Go to the table directly of the concentrations that you can use. For easy things, I'm skipping them because I don't want to make the presentation too long. Now we are reached 1 hour and 10 minutes. Part 2, Section C, Manufacturing, Processing, and Use Information. So we reached Section C. For most data elements, you need to provide here upfront substantiation to support your claim that you are providing confidential information, but that's not required for annual domestically manufactured volume and imported volume. All other data you need to provide upfront substantiation. Yeah, how to claim confidential information. I have explained that, so I'm just repeating slides, but it is repeated because you have same principle in for each new section. Handling here, reporting manufacturing information and handling missing information. If you don't know or cannot reasonably find information, you should use in the KRA. So that's why I told you you have to enter information anyhow, but you have to show your due diligence that you have done your best to enter information. Domestically manufactured production volume. Report the amount of PFAS you made at your manufacturing site in pounds. You have the quantity should be accurate to at least 2 significant figures, or as accurate as you can reasonably determine. Like this is an example. Reporting for chemical with multiple source. So here you have to report what is manufactured in your site or imported by your site only, not what you got from other domestic resources, because they have to do the same. And that's again, if you are article, that's not for you, but now something for articles. Yeah, I think many of you are article importers and waiting for me now. So options for reporting, you have two choices. You have to report the total weight of articles or the quantity of articles, number, and specify unit of measurements. For important chemical substances, is the chemical never physically at site? So here, if the answer is yes, so use this if you import the PFAS, but it is never physically at your reporting site. That's option you can choose. Otherwise, you choose no. If if PFAS you imported is actually physically at your reporting site. NA not applicable because PFAS is not imported. Any car A if it non not known. Volume directly exported. Um, so here uh, volume limitation. The volume you report as exported should not be more for sure that the sum of domestically manufactured and imported volumes. Direct exporting means sending PFAS to a distributor who then exports it without repackaging, even if it is relabeled. Direct exporting doesn't include sending PFAS to a distributor who repackages and relabels it. Some slides are repeated because you have to do same thing, same rules for different sections. Examples of reporting volumes. I have many nice examples for you, but I will not go through all of them because you got the slides, and I don't want to make it too long for you. It is already long again. So one example, and there are official examples from EPA resources. So site is domestically manufactured this amount of example BFSS. So they should report as domestically manufactured, for example, the total production volume. But if another example, they have 15,000 and then they get balance and then they import also another 50,000, so they have to report here the total. Many other examples, I will skip them for now. You can read the slides that's cited from official documents of the EPA. Industrial processing and use percentage of production volume. That's important. Notice how to round. So if it is 47, it will be 50. So you have to round to nearest 10%. Okay. But if combination accounts for less than 5% of the total production, so you should not round in this case to 0, but to nearest 1%. Sometimes rounding, you got a total more than 100% because of two reasons. Because the percentage of production volumes associated with TBU, IS, and FSC combinations may exceed 100%, and the rounding can cause the sum to exceed 100%, so don't worry. Sometimes it is less than 100% because you don't know how all your production volume is processed or used, or more than 2 combinations of goods applied to your BFAS or export a portion of the production volume. Some of the production is used for commercial or consumer purposes rather than industrial uses, or percentage round is in a way that doesn't sum to 100%. How to determine your percent production volume? And determine production volume for each TBU, IS, and FSC combinations. Determines the total production volume per year and calculate the percentages. I'm going quickly because that's small calculations and don't want to dig deeper in it. That's an example about that. Consumer and commercial use percentage of production volume. Same way. How determine your percent in production volume? Determine production volume for each product category. Determine total production volume per year. Calculate percent. Some examples. Site limited, you have 3 options to choose from. Report yes if the PFAS was site limited. use this if PFAS was made and processed at one site and didn't go outside that site. But no, if PFAS was not site limited, and you have if not now and so you report in the KRA. Recycled volume, that's another important information. Think for some companies of you or of my customers are recyclers, that could be a very important piece of information to them. You need to report that. So if you don't recycle, you report zero, and if you have set amount is recycled, so you report it. What is disposed as a waste is not recycled, so just you don't report it. Some calculations, some examples. Section D, a description of the pipe products resulting from the manufacture, processing, use, and disposal of each substance or mixture. In this section, you need to report information about all byproducts that result from manufacture, processing, use, and disposal of PFAS. This includes all byproducts that are chemical substances that, whether or not they are also PFAS. Take care of this sentence, please. Whether or not they are also PFAS, because it is a byproduct, and then you have to report whether or not they are also PFAS. Okay, that's really important. If you can make confidential claims here as well. So names nomenclature is following same actually way. So we'll go quickly here because nomenclature we have spoken about it, chemical IDs and so on. It's a repetition, but similar approach. Byproduct release medium, that's your report. If you don't know, you report in KRA. And same thing for the volume. Examples to help you. Section E, all existing information concerning the environment and health effects of such substances or mixture. You need to provide information about the environmental and health effect of your substance or mixtures that you know or can reasonably find, and that's toxic information or any other data, and that's something you get a lot of them from a previous registration of the substance and from safety data sheets and so on. And you report them using OECD harmonized templates, and we have also Euclid 6 software which we have used for each registration. You can use that. Is easy tool and available for everyone. You can download it for free. Yeah, I stalled you from existing data from REACH regulation because you have already done that for REACH regulation. And software will guide you through the process of uploading attachments. If you need to upload study reports as attachments, that's something you need to do. So about test data and on health and environment and data source data in the possession and or control of either your parent company or an affiliated company, and everything should be in English. You can also provide standard literature citations. Yeah, if in the open literature we don't have a complete set test data, then you have to provide them. Here you need to complete test data, not just summaries. Is not available in open literature. You must submit a complete test data. Incomplete reports are exempt from full reporting. However, you should describe the nature and the objective of any incomplete study reports or test, uh, and you provide the name and address of the laboratory developing the data, mention the progress to date, and specify the type of data collected, and share significant preliminary results with an anticipated completion date. You need also to provide timely updates and study summaries as optional. The report software will guide you through the process of uploading attachments. Um, Upload the relevant supporting information related to the study reports in previous sections. Then you have to go to clarification. So use this section for supporting information related to study reports and guidance on uploading attachments. That's from software. Um, Providing analytical test methods. So you have to describe any known analytical or test methods for the PFAS substance. For EPA methods, if the method is EPA method or similar, you can mention which EPA method. For non-EPA methods, then provide a detailed description of all the steps. For test method described in open scientific literature, you can provide a standard literature citation, complete method description. If if we don't have it in open literature, you must submit them. Other data relevant to environmental and health effects. Examples of relevant data. That's material safety data sheets, information, physical and chemical properties, preliminary studies, range of findings, first effects, blood levels data, inhalation studies. Good things that's only required for importers, for if you are manufacturer of chemicals or importer of chemicals, because probably you have done that under other reach, for example in the EU. But for importers of articles, they don't have to submit such information, which is great for them. Part 2, Section F, the number of individuals exposed and reasonable estimates of the number who will be exposed to such substances in mixture in their place of employment, and the duration of such exposure. So that's if only for, again, chemicals and not for importers of articles. So you need to include activities that lead to exposure, number of workers, maximum duration of exposure. Need to gather information about activities at sites that are not under your control. Reporting standard here is known to or reasonably ascertainable, means you report what you know or can reasonably find out. That might involve reaching out the downstream users to get necessary information. Confidentiality of workers' exposure, so same way to claim confidentiality. Workers' activity description, so we have to describe the activities. Workers unload tons of PFAS from delivery trucks into different containers, or others like clean reaction vessels that contain residual PFAS products and reactants. Number of workers, report total number of workers, and we have some codes for that to report. Workers reasonably likely to be exposed to chemical substances are individuals whose work activities may result in them in coming into contact with PFAS during manufacture, processing, distribution, and commerce or use. So examples of covered exposure, charging reactor vessels, or analytical operations, and many others. So routes of exposure, you have to provide inhalation, ingestion, skin contact, absorption, etc. Inclusion criteria for workers, person reasonably to be exposed, include employees whose job roles involve working in areas where chemical substances are manufactured or processed. So production workers, foremen, process engineers, plant managers, workers operating vehicles used in chemical substance transport. Exclusion criteria for workers involved solely in transportation chemical substances in sealed containers that entirely enclosed with no potential for exposure should not be included. Uh, Temporary workers, they should be considered among those reasonably likely to be exposed. Exclude individuals like administration staff who don't enter areas where the substance is manufactured. Consideration of protective measurements. There is no measurements that can exclude exposure completely. However, if the contact between a worker and the chemical substance is highly improbable, that worker should not be included among those reasonably likely to be exposed. Um, Exposure definition: workers are considered exposed even if the chemical substance doesn't enter their bodies. For example, workers' skin come into contact with PFAS is thus exposure. And no minimum duration or frequency. There is no requirements for a minimum duration or frequency of exposure to count workers as reasonably likely to be exposed to a chemical substance. There is no minimum level exposure, no potential exposure scenario as well. When there is no potential exposure scenario, the code W1 corresponding to a fewer than 10 workers would be reported. Thus, when this applies when a chemical substance is imported and sealed containers and sold without repackaging, or when it is shipped directly from a foreigner source to a customer. Maximum duration of exposure for workers. So we identify the worker or a group of workers. How long is the maximum exposure time for this worker or group? How many days per year is this worker exposed? Maximum annual exposure. So this one daily exposure. This one annual exposure, just not to get you confused. We have to calculate both of them. And report maximum daily exposure in hours rounded to nearest hour. If a worker is exposed for less than 1 hour, report it as a 1 hour, don't round to zero. There's some examples about that. Number of workers exposed for each industrial process. Estimate total number of exposed workers, so same way. Maximum duration of exposure. And also here, two scenarios for worker exposure. Workers with longest duration of exposure on any single day, or workers exposed on highest number of days per year, maximum annual exposure. Determining maximum daily exposure. Identify the worker group who are exposed to longest duration of any single day for this combination or types. Reports the maximum amount of time these workers are exposed for the specific TPU, IS combination, FSC combinations, or number two, reports the number of days per year that those workers are reasonably likely to be exposed. Determine which workers or group of workers are exposed. Reports the total number of days per year that these workers are reasonably likely to be exposed. Reports the largest amount of time those workers are exposed to any single day. So some examples. Section G, the manner or method of its disposal and any subsequent report on such substances or make sure any change in such manner or method. So about confidential information, same manner or method of disposal. So if PFAS is disposed thrown away, you need to report how it was disposed of using a special code or codes from next table. This includes the disposal method controlled by your site, like sending waste with PFAS for disposal to other companies. You don't need to report how others dispose of it after they use it. So those are the codes. Changes in disposal methods. If you have any change on how you get rid of PFAS, a type of chemicals, since 1st of January 2011, use the text box to describe this change. A release quantity reports the total weight of PFAS that was released into each medium, like air, water, and land. Make sure you report the weight with at least two significant figures. Some codes. So report release medium and description. Incineration quantity and temperature on site. You have to report on site incineration. Some option information of text fields, additional information. Use that to provide any additional information about your submission that may be relevant. Joint submission, I gave a hint about it. So just in a very simple way, again, that's when you have you don't have complete information from your suppliers, but your supplier is known and ready to provide that. So you ask him from the system to provide that. Maybe he doesn't have, so he will ask back his that your tertiary supplier and to submit information. If you cannot get that, so you report at the end in KRA. Oh. So they got notification per email. That's something I give you an idea about how it does work. For sure, secondary supply will not provide all information that like you. He will the form will be for company identity, technical contact person, and product information. And then he should provide chemical identity, and you will not have access to that. Because it is could be confidential information he doesn't want to share with you, and you cannot have access to that. And that confidentiality of information submitted. All the rules about keeping information confidential that were discussed earlier. These instructions also apply when submitting joint reports. Yes. After joint reports, we reached the end. It was a combined training today for if you are a manufacturer of chemicals or importers of chemicals or as a mixtures, or if you are importer of articles. Again, if you are importer of articles, you have to report much less information. Don't panic, don't worry. You have to do your due diligence, and after you have done your best, You have to keep information 5 years to show you have done your best, and use that as a due diligence to protect you in any legal problem. And yeah, and that's all. I'm happy to remind you again. I have explained everything to you. If you still need support, I'm happy to offer our company's support. We have very smart tool called Comply Risk to assess your bill of materials and to understand which parts of your bill of materials may contain PFAS, and that's part of your due diligence, so you know exactly where to test or where to compare that with suppliers information. If you have a suppliers of low trustworthiness, a very smart tool and easy to use, and we used it also for other regulations like Rose Reach and others. Also, if you have experience with CDX submission, do it in yourself. That's also not complex, but as we can also do that for you, and we can also get information from your suppliers. We offer a complete solution for BFS reporting in US. Feel free to write us an email after and ask us for further steps and how can we support you. And sorry for the long time, but I couldn't make it in less than that. It is a big topic, but don't panic. You can do it. Just consider it serious. Never think to break the law. Otherwise, you really lose everything. Um, That's copyright. We use official resources to prepare this presentation. Official resources from EPA, which published in internet by them, their official journal, and to prepare this presentation. So our reference is EPA official resources for this law. Yeah, thank you so much for tolerating me during this 1 hour and 40 minutes. Thank you so much, and uh, let's talk again. Thank you. Bye bye.